Everybody, what is going on? It is good to see you once again. It is another Friday night. And as usual, it's been a long week. What can I say? Um, it's going. But I did have some things happen to me this week. Two verbal, three verbal, and one, what would you say? Sorts of acknowledgement that happened to me this week. So three verbal things happened to me this week, spiritually wise, and then one was an absolute confirmation, which just totally blew my mind. But you know, again, another hard week living in the car. Um, but I was thinking about today, and I had saw a couple things this week about people talking about the incarnation loop, how to stop it. And I said, that's a pretty good thing to talk about because people, a lot of people I don't want to, Jason, I don't want to come back here anymore. This was really tough. This was really hard. Mhm. I get it. You know, um, I'm living proof of how hard it can really be. Um, but let's talk about some of the things that happened to me this week that were of the spiritual nature before I get into how to shorten your incarnations, which I'm sure all of you want to do. So, um, I think it was a Monday. It was Monday night. Or Sunday night. I was, sitting in here just like I am, Indian style. I had a decent meditation as best I can in a Jeep. I'm doing my best to quiet my mind, and I was getting to the point of where I was, wanting my twin flame. So I was talking about her. I was calling her name, doing my breathing and all that, and um, I got up in the morning, went to the bathroom, and as I was coming back into the car, I heard a female's voice and I could not make it out. Hi, Varna. I could not make out her voice, but it was or something like that, right? And I missed it. So I was like, okay, you know, okay, okay. So I don't know if that was her calling out to me or something but it was spiritual nonetheless. But it was definitely a female's voice that reached out to me. How you doing, Darkin? Love you. Thanks for showing up. All right. Um, and then secondly, today's Friday, so about Tuesday, I was um beautiful, 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 beautiful. Um, I was meditating like on a Tuesday night, and um it was all going good, and I was in the middle of it, and all of a sudden the voice inside my head said, 1 week, clear as day, 1 week. And I was like, I started smiling, and I'm like, so this shit is going to start popping off in a week. Something is going to happen. Now, this happened like 2 or 3 days ago already. So something. Lori, good evening to you as well. How are you, beautiful? It's good to see you. So I heard that in my head. 1 week. So hopefully by the time the end of the weekend rolls around, something is going to happen. All right. So something's going to happen. Um, and then there was something else. I could not remember what it was. It was that 1 week. Um, but I had been watching some things, and some very powerful things came up. And there's always no coincidences when spirit's trying to communicate with you. They use right now digital media because it's in our face. We're on our phones. We're doing this, so it's a good way. So I was watching something, and it said, this was 2 days ago, I think now. Said you are going to see a yellow car and an orange car, and I'm like, I didn't listen to the rest of it, right? Then all of a sudden, I'm coming out of the truck stop from going to the bathroom. I look over at the gas pumps. Now, listen to this. There sits a yellow Mustang. And I stopped dead in my tracks. And I'm like, no, no. Okay. And I'm staring at this Mustang, the end of the Mustang, and it was a beautiful yellow. And my mouth was just wide open. And I'm just staring at this yellow car. And I'm like, come on. I turn around. I had to be 5 minutes late. I turn around, guys, and I start walking towards my vehicle, and pulling into the parking lot, going into the fast food restaurant, was an orange Bronco. So not only did I hear the female voice say something, which I couldn't audibilize. Second confirmation was I'm in the middle of meditation about 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I hear one more, 1 week, one more week. And now, if I would have listened to the rest of it, I would have whatever. But it was an confirmation of your manifestations coming true. Okay. What are the chances that you see a yellow car and an orange car, not only on the same day, but within 30 seconds of each other? That's no coincidence, ladies and gentlemen. That's absolute confirmation. So Spirit was talking to me. I couldn't make it out. Second, talking to me again, one more week, which means I came here way too early. That's on me. I own it. So when I yelled at Father, he gave me that lucid dream, right? You're right where you need to be, buddy. Everything's going to pop off. And now, what? I'm 2 weeks into August. So basically, like in a week and a half, I would have been here. And now all these things are starting to happen. Something's going to pop off real soon, within a few days. My mom in the past used to have 1970 yellow Corvette. Nice. You guys and your Corvettes. I've never been a Corvette fan. I personally am a Trans Am guy. I can't say that. I'm sorry. That's worshiping a false idol. I really enjoy Trans Ams, especially the 1970, because I was born in 1970. So, all right. Good year, though, by the way. So I saw those two confirmations, right? One more week, and I'm telling you guys, there is no way you would walk out and ever see a yellow car and an orange, and yellow. How many yellow cars do you see on the road? Very, very little, let alone how many orange cars do you see? Okay, absolute confirmation. They're saying it's going to pop off. All right. And what I think is going to happen, and I've got this, before I get into the shortening your incarnations, I wanted to talk about this. Was that, you guys remember when I went to Dublin to go film that, my NDE, right? That still hasn't come out yet. You know how you have that strange feeling you're being watched? You know, when you may be doing something or whatever you're doing, right? And you just have this creepy feeling you're being watched. That's what I feel is taking place in the not the non-physical, but around. Like somebody's watching me right now, probably, or somebody will be watching me or has been watching me. And being in California, right? We're not talking a cheap state. We're talking buku bucks. Okay. Somebody very influential, somebody with a lot of money is going to be approaching me soon within that one more week thing. Okay. And I think when this video comes out of my filming, I think that's going to be roughly around the time frame when this is going to take place. And yesterday, or was it the day before? I don't remember, because things have been happening kind of quick. My mouth hit the floor. I walked out. There's the yellow Mustang. There's that orange thing. What that lady said the day before or 2 days before, I was like, whatever, you know. But it popped up, and it was right away. So I started listening to it, which I generally do. And, you know, I was like, no. And the fact that it happened, and I could not go find that video to find the other two signs, because there was 3 signs, the cars and something else and something else. I think I already saw them, and that's why I don't need to, because it disappeared. So they were communicating with me verbally when I heard the voice, the female voice. So it could have been my twin flame. We're connecting telepathically. Maria, sweetie. Hi, honey. Thank you. So I heard the telepathically voice, or the female voice. It was just, it was unaudible, but it was as clear as day. as I was getting into my car. Second was one more week. And I'm like, and that was in the middle of meditation, going through my stuff, one more week. So I'm here for one more week. Something's going to pop off. And then the confirmation of the cars. And I could not find the rest of that video. So absolute confirmation that my time here is in this Jeep living is almost over, and I could not be more happy. Um, so that's what was taking place with me. And I just feel it. It feels like ants under my skin. You just it's that close, and I can feel it. I've been able to feel it now for a couple of years. So meeting that angel back in Wisconsin, here I'm at. So there we go. All right. So I've just been hearing about what's a soul contract, Jason. How do you shorten your incarnations? I don't want to come here anymore. I'm tired of struggling. I'm tired of barely scraping by. I'm tired of all of this, right? Now you have to remember, what is a soul contract? So, I mean, that's a beautiful thing to ask. Your soul contract, and it's not just for one incarnation, okay? It's for your entire time, all your incarnations. So remember, when you created the Big Bang, right? When you stood before Father, you brought him your plan, say, okay, this is what I want to experience. This is what I want to feel, okay? The fact that you're here and you wake up and you see what you see and you feel what you feel throughout the day, those are everything that you ask God to feel and see and do, period. There is no getting around that. That is exactly what you showed him, and he agreed to it. And now you're here and you're experiencing it in the physical, right? Well, you're not really here, you're dreaming it, but nonetheless, for all practical purposes, you're here and you're feeling it, just like I am. So at some point in my effed up life, I said, I want to live in my Jeep in California, struggle with very little money, very little food. And well, guess what? Here I am experiencing exactly what I asked for. So, but your soul contract is not just for this incarnation. Your soul contract is for your entire lives that you're going to live. Now, you're not going to get that done in just one life. You're in one incarnation, okay? What you chose to experience is going to take multiple lifetimes. It even took Jesus multiple lifetimes to become enlightened, all right? Most of you here listening to me, 8 of you right now, have probably died anywhere from 678 times to maybe 800 times already, okay? And you're here now going through your soul contract. It's a soul that decides when your time is up here, if the mission is not finished, that is perfectly fine. People can come back to Earth anytime they want. I have a yellow 2006 Jeep Wrangler. I love it. Very nice. I love yellow, by the way. Oh, sorry. I like yellow. Forgive me. That's worshiping a false idol. When you say you love an illusion, that's worshiping a false idol. That's placing God outside of you, and you're starting to worship something else. I really like yellow. It's my favorite color. I want it on my sports car when I get a sports car. So I have this. What I'm in right now is a 2018 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited. So when you get done with this incarnation, you chose where you wanted to come in. You chose how you're going to leave the dream. However, you burn in a fire, burn in a car accident, fall out of a building, break your neck, get shot, whatever it is, drown, who knows? Or like Charlie Kirk, get shot. All right. You entered it, you're going to leave it. That incarnation's done. Climbed up the ladder, hopefully a lot, but generally, most will climb up, a few steps. Now you're going to take a lot of time off because it's hard to come here, right? We chose the hardest place to incarnate into. So you're going to take a few centuries off. You're going to take about 5 to 10,000 years off, which is home, but equivalently to maybe 35 to 50 to 70 years Earth time before you incarnate again. And that is what people sometimes call the incarnation loop. It's not a loop. You just, as Varina said, you didn't get done doing what you were meant to do. Okay. You may have knocked out quite a few things, but say you really didn't learn forgiveness. You really didn't learn worthiness, how worthy you are. Right. So, in the sense we understand, it's very similar to how and correct. Absolutely. Absolutely, Verena. Because that's how I was communicating when I was in my NDE. It was simply a thought and it was instantly communicated to Father and Yeshua. I mean, there was no, I didn't even get to really even get the whole thing in there. It was the beginning and then it was there. So you are welcome, hon. Hello. I like the yellow, 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 yellow. So you're going to take some time off, right? Now, if you take too much time off, no matter what dimension you're in, where you're at, what you're doing, what planet system you're on, wherever you are, wherever your safe place is, whatever, your father's going to find you and he's going to say, come on, it's time to go, right? You signed that contract. You're not getting out of it. You, as much as father doesn't want you here, you signed up for it. You are going to go. So how do we shorten these things, right? So now it's time for your next incarnation. What's going to happen? Your overlord, which is like a supervisor, your guardian angels, which is your archangel and your guide, you are going to review your last incarnation from coming out of mom till the time you go home. And then you're instantly going to know what you need to work on. So while you're working on that, right, you're creating it, you're building it. Again, you bring it to Father. He's going to say, okay. And then come out of mom. You've forgotten who you are. Remember, the whole point of coming here is to remember who you are. All right. That's why I don't have very many untethered conscious. Look at this guy. Guys, big shout out to Rod here from Untethered Consciousness. All right. We did a live stream this Monday, which was beautiful. Now, he is my video editor. Okay. He's the one that helped me build my YouTube on how to get it up and running. And I was his very first NDEer. When he started his channel, he reached out to me first. Now this is a soulmate connection, guys, all right? Because there's no way that this wouldn't have happened otherwise. There are no coincidences. So he reached out to me. We had a beautiful, conversation, and he does his live streams, but nobody was showing up. So he was sitting there talking about books, and I would go in there and we would talk, and probably for like a month or a couple months. And I really helped him build his channel up, right? People started coming in and being more engaged with Rod, and then I graciously backed out so he could so his channel could grow. Now he's up to 20,000, subscribers. Well done, my friend. And I just wanted to give him a big shout out to you guys. Go check his channel out. He's got a lot of great stuff there, a lot of good people, but he is the one that edits my videos and gets them ready for you to see on a weekly basis. So hello, buddy. It's good to see you again. So how to stop this incarnation loop? All right. So you incarnate again, right? Well, the two big things that you've got to do is, one, you got to figure out who you are. All right. I mean, I can talk to you about it all day long. I could tell you that you're God. I could tell you that that religion doesn't play any part of this. Believing in God doesn't matter in all of this. It doesn't. Oops, sorry, guys. What matters is you figuring out who you are. And that happens through many, 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 many incarnations. But once you reach that point, like I did, having a near-death experience, going through all the things that I'm going through, having these profound spiritual experiences, has shortened my incarnations. But what really shortens them is this, guys. And this is the hardest lesson you guys are ever going to have to learn. All right. It is about forgiveness. I don't care what has happened to you. That may seem cold. It may seem harsh. Remember, you're not really here. Everything that is taking place in your mind. Your mind is split. The moment it took on consciousness, or duality, one part of your mind was sane, the other part is insane with the ego, which is a false belief in who you are. okay? And you fell into the false belief. You think you're a woman, you think you're a man. You believe in what you are feeling. You believe that you've been right or wrong. It says people play a role. That's right, because when you're creating your life, guys, okay, you go to your soul friends, you go to your BFF, say, I need to learn forgiveness. I need you to really hate my guts. Or I need you to rape me, okay? Or I need you to kill my daughter or son. And of course, you go, okay, yeah, sure. So you get this life built up, right? And you bring it to Father and you say, here I go, right? And he may say, this is going to be tough. All right. This is going to be very hard, but you're on the other side, you're gung ho and ready to take it on. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for showing up. I love you. Thank you so much. Um, and it's going to be hard. And then you come in, you forget who you are again, and then you're going through this really rough time. All of a sudden, your daughter turns 18, she's brutally raped and murdered. And what are you left with? The only thing that you could possibly do is to forgive that person, because that person is not only you, but is also your soulmate that you asked them to do this for you. Why? So you could learn forgiveness. Again, I'll refer to the little soul talking to God, right? And his best friend shows up. Well, Father's saying, well, you need to really work on forgiveness. You're having a hard time. And his friend shows up and says, I'll do something so vile, so nasty, so heinous to you that you'll have to. And this little soul is, yeah, you would do that? Of course I'll do it for you, because I love you. So you go to your besties, guys. Everything that is in your life is your besties. They're soulmates. They've also forgotten who they are. So to you, they're just some random schmuck that you made friends with in college or at work or so on. No, it was meant to happen. There are no coincidences. Okay. So these beings that come into your life are here to teach you a lesson. Some of them stay for quite a long time, right? They're your best friends or whatever. Some will come in, you meet them at a party, and they're gone 2 hours later, but they've profoundly changed your life, never to be seen again. Coincidence? Of course not. They were there per your request. They did what they needed to do and they moved on. That's what a soulmate is. A soulmate will come in, kick open your door, throw in grenades, right? While you're standing in the room, blows the roof off, blows out the doors, the windows. You come out with your clothes shredded, your hair smoking. You're like, because they made you see the world in a different way, right? They opened up your eyes. Soulmates don't come in as a cheerful, lovey, ho, 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 oh, that's so huggy, huggy. No, they come in here to kick your ass and change your life. That's because that's what you asked them to do. But in that is forgiveness. It is profoundly important to you guys that you need to learn this lesson. Okay? Without it, your incarnations you're going to be stuck in the 5th grade. How long do you want to feel like you're stuck in the 5th grade while others are advancing and moving? Okay? And they're climbing up the ladder. You're stuck in 5th grade because you can't. That person hurts your feelings. That husband hurts your feelings. That boyfriend, whatever it is, hurts your feelings. Remember the saying, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Right? He's asking God to forgive their minds because they're literally insane. You've forgotten who you are. So that person came into your life per your request to do these things for you. And now you're holding that grudge. You're holding that hate, that anger, that rage against them. Forgive them. Yes, those people play a vital role in your advancement, in your soul's evolution, right? You're here to evolve. You're not here to stay stagnant. Remember that everything you're seeing and experiencing is a figment of your own imagination. You're dreaming this, guys. You put yourself into such a deep sleep at home, in heaven, in your house, right? You put yourself into a deep sleep, a deep sleep. And now You've created everything that you are experiencing, and a little bitty portion of you that is here, that's wrapped around your body, is your personality. That part of your soul is here because without you attached to this body, this thing is, it won't do anything, right? It will sit there. So don't hold that grudge. Don't hate them. They were here to teach you a lesson. They were here because you asked them to do this to you. You asked them for help so you could evolve, so you can climb up that ladder and keep knocking those incarnations down. And the quickest way to do this, guys, the quickest way to stop that revolving door is to forgive them. And I'm not just saying, you know what, you're right. Yeah, I forgive you. And no, the type of forgiveness I'm talking about is when you sit there and you're alone and you're thinking of that situation. All right. And I don't know if any of you have seen the movie The Shack. There's a point in the movie where God and he are confronting what happened to his daughter. And he says, I want you to hurt him. I want you to punish him. Right. And God said, that's the only part that was wrong. But he said, you need to forgive. And he says, ask me for help. You may have to ask me 1,000 times before you're truly able to let that forgiveness come. And when that forgiveness comes, ladies and gentlemen, you will be sitting there bawling your eyes out, because that is how you know you have truly forgiven that person for what you perceived to have done to you. Okay? We're not just talking, hey, I forgive you. That doesn't work. No. We're talking, you're going to relive that pain. And I mean, you will relive it like you were there. That is how you know it's real, because you will scream, you will cry. Right? I had to do that when I truly forgave my parents. And it took me 4 years after my NDE because I thought I did. Samuel, hello. People have to keep this in mind. The things we experience are all things that we all agree to because we have done. That's correct. Absolutely. Marina, she's getting it. She's got it. Okay. So when my daughter sent me a picture of me as a little boy in 1974, and I thought I had forgiven my parents, right? I sat up and the tears came down my eyes, and I knew in that moment I had not forgiven my parents. I had to sit down and relive every beating, every punishment, all of it, like I was there. And that is when I said, I truly forgive you, and sobbing. And then I felt the darkness leave me. Okay? That is when you can truly forgive somebody. I'm doing all right. Money's critically low. Like when I mean critically low, it's critically low. But, you know, I'm blessed. I am grateful for all that I have. I'm doing well. I'm healthy. Um, you know, I'm doing my show here and I'm blessed. So I am grateful for all that has been taking place here. I've learned a lot since I've been here. I've learned how to receive, not just give, but to truly receive without being angry about it, right? And I've learned that I still needed to love. I know that sounds weird, but well, Jason, what do you mean? Means when somebody would say, don't you miss being with a girl? Don't you miss having a partner? And I'm like, this is going to sound vulgar, guys, and especially to the girls here. Because my first wife, she's passed on, was married 12 years. Then I was married 12 years with another one, divorced now 10, and really haven't dated. I did a couple times, but my point would be like, what do I need a woman for? Now you're going to understand that this doesn't sound, it's harsh, but it's, you'll see where it's coming from and you'll understand why. And I'm like, what could a woman possibly give me? Please tell me. Shitty sex? No idea how to communicate her needs or wants, except how to attack, condemn, and judge, just like the ego. I need that again, right? I said women wouldn't know how to do any of that if the fucking instructions fell out of their fell out of the sky, landed on their face, and started to wiggle. What the hell do I need a woman for? Right? Now, what does that sound like to you? When I was here, it finally dawned on me, right? I'm afraid of love. That little midget of love. That's fear. Why? I was hurt during my first marriage and I was hurt during my second. So what does it sound like? Right. I'm afraid of love. And how could that be when I preach it? I am it. I feel it every day. But to say that, to come out and say that, because that is grouping all females together and saying that you're all trash. Right. Fear is the opposite of love. So that's when I realized my twin flame isn't going to come to me until I can accept the fact that I am ready for this love. Right. So when I spewed that out, I said, my God, Father, you're right. I am absolutely fearful of love. I'm fearful of having my heart torn out again. Right. Because my separation from my twin flame was devastating to me. I felt for almost a year that I couldn't breathe. I'm like, why do I want to put myself through that again? Right. But in the same time, I'm yearning her so deeply, right? In my near death experience, when it happened, who was I talking about? My twin flame, my love. Please don't take her from me, please. Right. So when I say that, that's fear. And when I'm sitting here, it was 11 o'clock. I couldn't fall asleep like 2 nights ago. I just couldn't fall asleep. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, that's when the light bulb came off. So me being here, buddy, is Tessa. Hi, hon. How are you? I'm doing well. I'm doing better. So all of a sudden, it dawned on me. It's like, Jason, you're afraid of love. That's fear, right? So I had to accept that, acknowledge that. Then I had to go in and forgive myself for feeling that way and release it. That is when the next day I heard that female voice come in. I was blocking her from coming in. And I strongly feel that that was her trying to communicate telepathically, as Varina is talking about, because we can do that, especially with a twin. So there's so many things that I am learning here. And when I first got here, I was told you just need to sit here and do nothing, which is so hard to do because you've been trained since birth not to do that, to chase, to fall into this false illusion, to chase these illusions, to chase this, to chase that, and to sit here and watch the flea circus go on around you while no money's coming in. You're struggling. You're eating a can of Dinty Moore beef stew out of the can cold, while other people are eating warm meals, taking warm showers. But I've learned so much about myself, where I needed to truly get in and to heal those small little things that were stopping me. So hello, Samuel and Tessa. Hi, guys. Generic. I'm doing well. For love, yeah, it's the opposite of love. It's so easy to get caught up in this world, huh, Jason? Yep, that is right, sweetie. So I don't judge anything anymore, guys. Like the Charlie Kirk assassination. I did not judge that person who killed him because Charlie asked him to do that. So in my last live, when I talked about it, that's how Charlie chose to exit the illusion, the dream. We've all chosen our way out, guys. He chose to be murdered in front of people because somebody, in my opinion, truly needed to learn forgiveness. And what better way than to witness that, right? Now, I instantly forgave the shooter. There was no judgment because I know the game, right? Now, the world is going to look at him and look at the way the world is blown up around this. Jimmy Kimmel, I guess, got fired for his harsh comments. People were clapping and cheering that he was dead and killed. And I was like, I hold no judgment on anybody because I know it's simply a dream. How do I connect to my twin flame or my soulmate or God like you do? Um, I really do it through meditation, guys. And I've been doing it for 2 years now. I don't miss it, meaning I'll sit here in my Jeep in 90, I'll wake up. I generally do it at night between 9 and 10 because I can have the windows down, and in the desert, the cool air comes in. So I'm not like brutally hot. And then I get up around 4 in the morning. I go fill up my water jug. And again, guys, this is how I shower. I put some water in here. I shave, then dump that out, fill it up, wash what I can, and you know, um, and then I meditate. And I've been telling you guys this, how to connect. Well, Jason, I can't quiet my mind. It takes time. What the non-physical wants from you is dedication, commitment, right? They see what you're doing and they're going, all right, yes, let's go. And slowly over time, you'll quiet that mind. I want your thoughts to come in, but when they pass and then you have that moment of quietness, that is when you're with Father. That instant, it may be 30 seconds of utter quiet, utter peace. You have now connected to home. You have connected to the non-physical. Another thought may come in. That's fine. Don't pay attention to it. Just push it off. Go on with your mantra. Then you're going to have a moment of quietness. Again, you're connecting. And that is how you begin to really, truly manifest, to really, truly trust in the non-physical and to connect with your guides. And when at night, I'll say, I love you, guides. Please tell me your name. Comfort me. I know you're here. Talk to me. And you get those experiences like I've been like this week, right? The confirmation of the vehicles, the female voice, during the meditation the other night, one more week. That's them telling me, see, you get those things, but you've got to commit to it. And you'll say, well, Jason, it's hard. Well, okay. I'm not saying sit here for 45 minutes like I do. Sit down for 5 minutes. Just sit down, shut up, whatever way you want to, and quiet yourself, right? 5 minutes. Okay. Do that for a week. Next week, make it 8 minutes, right? Just sit down. No noise. Put in, like these are noise canceling headphones. Put something in. Quiet. Thoughts will come in. That is okay. Push them off. Let them come and go, right? Just like when you're talking to your wife. Are you listening to me? Well, you know. So just push them off and just sit there. But in that moment, that thought is gone and there's nothing else there. That's it. That's where you need to be. That is the non-physical. That is home. That is your connection. Thoughts will start to come in, but that takes time. You can bet your ass Kirk learned a shit ton in his life. You bet he did, right? But there's no right or wrong here, guys. There's no good or bad. It's a dream. These are things that you came here to experience, that you came to experience. That's it. It's an experience. It's nothing more than that. So as he stood in front of his life review, like, I know when I'm going to stand in front of mine, man, I'm not looking forward to it. Not at all. I own it. I'll own every ounce of it like I did. And that's another thing that when you meditate, guys, all right, that is very, very important. Take accountability for everything you thought, said, and done. I don't care what it was. I don't care if you told your wife, I hope you fucking die. I hope somebody slits your throat. Take accountability for it, right? No matter what's been done, what you did, or how you did it, you take accountability. You own it. That is letting Father know that you're fully aware of who you are, what you're here for, and what you've done, and that you are taking the means to correct your life. Okay? That you're truly trying to change the illusion. You have to remember, guys, illusions are false realities. You cannot place them on the altar that God put there for you. Okay? And be gentle with yourself is absolutely correct, because God will say, Lori, you're being too hard on yourself. And you'll feel that in you. You'll feel it, right? God talks to you through your emotions when you're feeling sad, or all of a sudden you get this big burst of emotion of love and you sit there and you start to cry, right? And there's nobody around you. Your Father is talking to you. He's loving on you. He misses you. And he's telling you, because when you're doing the dishes, right? This is another form of meditation. You may be home alone, or the wife or the husband, and everybody's gone. You're doing the dishes and you're quiet. You're not listening to music. You're just doing the dishes, but you're in your mind. That's meditation. You're creating. You are always creating your life, no matter what you are doing. From the moment you awake, your thoughts create your reality. So be gentle with yourself. You're beautiful. You're perfect. God does not make imperfections. Okay? God is. There is nothing else. That means you are There isn't anything else. All of you are one with the Father, and you and the Father is one with you. God's will is your will. Your will is that of Father's. There is no separation between you. So, yes, Lord, be gentle on yourself, be kind, be loving. Know that you're perfect. Know that while you are in this state, you're going to make mistakes, right? And that's what you want to do, believe it or not, right? How else are you going to learn, right? If you're walking on the beach and you're walking with gentle waves and it's 80 degrees, right? What are you going to learn? That's not hard. But if you walk out there into the surf and you're in the reef and stuff and big waves are coming in and you keeps getting knocked down, and then what? You get dragged under the water and over the reef, you're cut up, right? What'd you do? Well, you learned not to go out there, right? Wasn't a very pleasant experience getting dragged over the coral and you're all a bloody mess and all of that, right? So I have been crying a lot lately. I thought it's my depression. Honey, do you really have depression? Does God have depression, sweetie? Or is that something you're telling yourself that you have? Because if you say, I have, which is right there, you're saying that's a direct commandment, right? I is a commandment to home. Now they're listening. Now they're going to give you what you're asking for. So if you say, I have depression, well, then that's what you're going to have. I've been crying a lot lately too. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Do it. Your tears are special. They're divine. Don't be afraid to cry. I cry all the time. And any man that said, well, I don't cry, well, then you need to get in touch with yourself. Would YouTube videos bring my twin flame or soulmate if I meditate to it? Sure. Why not? I do too. That's empathy, which is the greatest form of love, guys. If you're truly empathetic like I am, because somebody said, after my NDE, I was talking to somebody and he goes like, and he's a medium, but he's also had a couple near-death experiences. He goes, Jason, I hate to burst your bubble, but you didn't become an empath after your NDE. You've always been that way. And again, it brought me right back to being a little kid and how deeply I loved. And I still love deeply. I mean, profoundly deeply. And that comes back around to, why the fuck do I need a woman in my life? What's that? That's fear. Fear of love, fear of having your heart broken. I can't do that, right? That's shutting off love. That's saying that's not who I am anymore. That's creating a false reality. That's taking God off the altar and putting on a false idol. That is something I will not do. So there were some things that I learned, and that was one of them. So Tess, believe in yourself, honey. That's okay to cry. Love deeply, profoundly. But follow your intuition, honey. And you know what your intuition is, right? That's that gut feeling that's deep down in there. And that's generally the first thing that comes to mind. But only you know what it is. So, you can't say that you don't, because you do. And I know I'm being hard on you, but that's okay. So whatever you think it is, because I don't know what it is, hon. But when you ask yourself that question and the first thing that comes to mind, that's it. You go with it. And then you know that's what it is. All right. So it could be because of a job. It could be because you don't have a partner. It could be because you're out of money or whatever. But face that fear and just know that you truly don't have depression. If that's something that you think you have, you don't. You think you do, so therefore you will. Remember what you are. You're a God. What you create, you get. So if you want to create depression and say, I am depressed, well, then that's exactly what you're going to experience, huh? Oh, honey, thank you. I love everybody too. I don't like watching people suffer in any way, shape, or form. It breaks my heart, right? You manifest, and that's what I do at night, right? And the first thing I do before I even get into my meditation is I practice my breathing. I get some breathing down, right, for about 5-10 minutes. And then the first thing I do is I tell God how grateful I am for having the $75 in my account. How grateful I am for the food that is in my stomach. How grateful I am for being healthy. How grateful I am for those that have donated to me and helped me during this crucial time. How grateful I am for making it to California without breaking down, without being stuck on the side of the road, having food to eat, shelter to eat every night. Father, thank you for keeping me safe. That, ladies and gentlemen, is going to stop your incarnations too. And it's going to help you crush them with forgiveness. What will shorten our incarnations? Forgiveness. I don't care, Tessa, what has happened to you. I don't care if you were raped. I know this is going to sound bad. I don't care if you were beaten and raped and sodomized and thrown in the ditch for dead, stabbed. I don't care if somebody had an affair and stole your husband. I don't care if somebody murdered your child and decapitated them. Forgive them. Truly. It's going to be the hardest thing you ever have to do is to relive that situation. Okay? Relive it. And I mean relive it. You will feel it just like you did in that moment. Okay? And then it may take 1,000 times, as I was saying, for you to truly forgive them, honey. But that is what truly shortens your incarnations. Remember, you guys think of time as linear, right? Because we write left to right, we speak left to right, we read left to right, right? But remember, it's not. Time is like this, okay? So as you begin to forgive, right? Now, your guardian angels, or you have also ascended masters assigned to you, right? They go into future lives, but they also go into past lives. They'll put you in certain situations, but because you've mastered fear, you mastered forgiveness, they'll put you, because that your future lives are taking place right now too, as well as all your past lives. They'll put those situations in there, and then all of a sudden you start to see your timelines crunch, right? To now, you have 1 or 2 incarnations left. But that only comes from facing your fears, guys. That only comes from true forgiveness. Let's say you were a teacher or a professor, right? And you're teaching your class, and people are getting, their tests back, and this student failed a test, right? So he comes up and says, "This is unacceptable." You go over the test, say, "No, you were wrong." Well, he says, "Well, guess what? I'm going to go to the head of the history department. I'm going to say that you molested me and spread these false accusations." Now, all of a sudden, you get fired from your job, in that job you've worked at for 20 or 30 years, right? Now, you're jobless. You've lost the only thing you've ever known out of somebody lying because they didn't pass their test. You have free will. So now you can go after this person. You could try and kill them. You could go after them and hurt them. You could spread false accusations. What does your Father want to see? What does Jesus want to see you do? Right? Forgive them. Okay, you're without a job. You can go find something else. You can do this. You can do that. But that is the only way that happens. And again, guys, this is true forgiveness. This isn't just saying, "Yeah, I forgive you." Okay, no, that doesn't work. So imagine that type of situation taking place. Now, all of you may have been placed in a situation like that where somebody spread false accusations around you, the workplace, whatever, and then all of a sudden you got fired. You got let go from a lie. Now, you've been holding on to that resentment, that anger, that fear, that hate, say for 20, 30 years. What good is that doing you? It's only going to keep you here and being stuck in the 3rd grade, having that lesson retaught and retaught and retaught. In the next incarnation, those same people that are in this incarnation are going to come in, give you those same lessons again. So I'm learning so much here. That's beautiful, buddy. That's why I do these. I love you guys. And I've said this before, guys. I don't have to do this. I know all of this stuff. Okay. I When I came back from my near-death experience, I was very upset that I was lied to about Christianity, about everything. And I'm like, then it became crystal clear that my mission here, my goal was to teach. But I had to go through, even after my death, lots of learning, lots of forgiving, lots of knowledge coming in that now I'm getting ready to be on that world stage, not just on YouTube, but literally the world stage in front of hundreds or thousands at a time, speaking like I am speaking now, because I have that knowledge now, right? I've conquered fear. I've conquered love. I've conquered what I've came here to do. And I love teaching you guys. I love to teach, knowing that if I saved one person's life, right? If I've saved them, just one, I will have done my job. I will have gone home and say, I did it. I did it. And that's what I came here to do. JP, hi, the mind and the ego are confusing. Clarity is hard to find. All right. So let's talk about that. That's a good thing, quick. Sorry, guys. I've got to stretch here. I'm stuck in one position. Remember what the ego is, okay? The ego is a false belief in your reality. The ego isn't real, okay? It's not real. It's something that when you took on consciousness or duality, right? Which consciousness is duality. What did you do? You created that little gap that I talked about last time, like the boat passing through the waves, and you see the waves sparred out, right? And then they start coming back together. In that little gap, we took, oh, I forgot what it is now. Made me think. Cause and effect, right? So you have a cause and then you see the effect of that. What we did is we switched that around. Now you have the effect and then the cause. So in that little gap, that's where we're all stuck. And what's in that little gap? Nothing, right? So now in that little gap, because you chose to mix up cause and effect, you created fear. You became scared. Guilt, you became guilty because now you think you left father and that little bastard that you just talked about, the ego, right? The ego's not your friend. The ego attacks, condemns, and judges. Not only does he want you dead, he wants God dead. Now, he's simply a figment of your imagination, but in that gap, you created the ego. And that's why you believe you are all individuals, separate from one another, separate from me, right? I thought that too my whole life. I'm a boy. I've got dingleberries down there and this, that, girls have boobies and a crotch, right? You think you're separate. Well, that's the ego. Okay, bud? That is the ego. When you think I'm better than you. Oh, look, I have the same shirt. Well, you're fat. I'm skinny. I look better. Ego. Or, oh, I've got the same blouse, but, my boobs fill it out better because you've got none. Ego. And that's where, when I stopped putting out videos for a while, for a couple months, I was in my awakening, which is the ego death. I really don't have the ego anymore. I mean, it tries to pop up and I don't feed it anymore. I just simply ignore it. And it was the ego death because I lost all motivation. I lost all drive to be successful, to have the lots of money, to do that. That's all gone. That's all ego. When you get up, I need this, I need that. You're to need nothing here because nothing here is real. It's all an illusion, right? You're just swapping out one illusion for another. And each illusion is fear-based. No matter what it is, it's still fear-based. So in order to get rid of the ego, you got to stop feeding it. You got to stop believing that you are separate from your neighbor. You got to stop believing that you're separate from any 12 in here right now. I see myself no different than any of you. I am no different than any of you. In fact, that's exactly what I am, is you. And that's how I get away with it. Because I don't see any of you as any different than myself. Right? I see you as all sinless. I see you as all perfection. And I see you as all beautiful. And I see you as all guiltless. Whether you see yourself that way or not, that, That's stuff that you've got to work on yourself. But that's the ego. Okay. So every time you feel that nasty thought come into your head, or you're at work or you're stuck in traffic and you're like, mother, right? That's the ego. Or come on, or whatever it is, whatever nasty, vile thought it is, that is of the ego. It's not there. It's you in your creation of it. Again, a false belief in your reality, believing in who you are, when in fact you don't even know who you are, right? And that's why you are now beginning to search out near-death experiences. Something in you is awakening. Something within you is yearning for home, for Father, that love connection, right? So when you heard me in my near-death experience, I cried out to God, right? So from the time I was a little boy in the 70s, I had no connection with him. I cut him off, right? Said, nah, I'll do things my way. You're going to screw me over. You clearly don't love me anymore, right? You never wanted me. So here I am, and you're abusing me or letting me get abused, and so on and so forth. So I cut him out. Now, on my death, what's the one thing that I did? I reestablished that love connection. So when I was staring at the TV, that was my Father, God, waiting for me, knowing that I'm going to establish that love connection. In a place that I thought I would never be, heaven, right? There he was waiting for me. No judgment, no questions asked, just unconditional love. Unconditional love, and was beyond excited to have me home or awake for a little bit, right? All of you are terrified to awaken, right? And what do I mean by awaken? All of you are terrified to die, because that's what death is. When you awaken, right, you simply awaken from the dream. The body dies, however it's meant to, and then you just, you're standing there in front of Father, and that you will be. But you're all terrified of it because what you think you've done in your life is horrific or bad or wrong or this or that. It's not. It's everything that you asked yourself to do. And God said yes. So here you are doing it. Also, life experience shape our personalities too. It's the roles we play. That is correct. Absolutely. Remember that your personality is the part of your soul that is here attached to the body. There's nothing inside this thing, period. So I don't want you thinking that. It's wrapped around like a glove on your hand.
New text message from Joe Danrich.
So don't look at it that way, but it's all those experiences that you go through that make you who you are. And that's really it. So that's who the ego is, buddy. It's every nasty thought, every voice inside your head that isn't you. And that's where you just, in order to get rid of the ego, it takes a lot, by the way. But you just can't feed it. You can't give into those negative thoughts. You can't, when somebody cuts you off or even comes up and punches you or, does something to you, always, your first instinct is to say, I hate you. And, I'm start a fight or what. That's the ego. So don't feed it. But you are all going to reach that point in your life, whether it's this incarnation, 5 from now, 10 from now. You're going to go through your awakening like I did in 2023. And that's when I met my ascended master or angel, Michael, right? And said, hey, how about would you be willing to relocate to Sacramento? Hence, therefore, I'm here. So you're all going to go through that at some point in your incarnations. This just happens to be mine. All right. And then not only did I go through that, I went through my awakening prior to coming here when I stopped doing videos for almost a month, right? I just had no energy or drive. I just didn't care anymore. And that's how I look at life. Not as a nasty thing. I just see it as everything is an illusion. It's a dream. I'm creating this in my mind right now. It's not real. And I forgive it. And that's something that you guys have to learn how to do too. is to forgive your illusions, right? And that's part of forgiving yourself, because you're creating this. It's what you created with Father. You're a co-creator. You're a God. Everything you asked, you got. He said yes. Then you sat down with him and you created it. You put yourself to sleep. When the time is right, you entered into your mother's womb for the last time, because you're in and out while the fetus is being born, or being created. You're in and out. You go in there, test the waters. You're scared. You go back home. You get reassured. In and out you go numerous times, right? And then Father says, okay, this is the last time. You're home for a little bit, and then you come into this world. It's all an illusion. You're still at home. There's nothing to be fearful of, guys. Nothing. Because like Varina said, and I said, fear is an illusion. There is truly one emotion that we live by. Even though it's two, because you see the world, or the state of the world we're in, which is, not good. But then you see the other half, right? Which is love. And how much love we do truly have for one another. But why does it have to take a natural disaster or a mass shooting for us to come together? Why can't we come together as one right now, as one united consciousness? Heal the world, because we could do it right now. We could plant, the rainforest would be back to pristine. Our oceans and our rivers and our lakes would be clean, meaning you could go in there and drink. We could all do that together right here, right now. You don't understand the power we hold, guys. How powerful you are. I've said this before. You misunderstand how powerful you all are. You're a God. You're creating what you see every day. So make it a beautiful illusion. But regardless, that illusion is still created out of fear, and it has to be forgiven. So while I'm creating and manifesting the best version of my abundant version of myself, right? It's still an illusion. It's still a fantasy. It's not real. Even that has to be forgiven, because it's not real. And that is how you shorten those incarnations, guys. That's how you just knock them down left and right. You start
New
banking,
text message from Joe Danrich.
You start breaking those incarnations, and you start knocking them down. And like I've said for a while now, I only have maybe one or two, if that. They're not there anymore. That is also something that's my intuition saying you're done. And I'm glad, because I don't want to be here anymore. I'm tired of it, all of it. I don't want to be here. I'm done. I've been walking this earth for 30,000 years. I've had it. I want to stay home. I don't want to come here anymore. I'm tired, guys. I'm really tired. And this last big battle that I'm going through right now has been brutally hard on me. Brutally hard on me. I just don't want to be here anymore. I'm tired of it. What if you don't see anything from an NDE? That's possible. Many people have said they've just entered the void. That's fine. In my first out-of-body experience, I entered the void before I went through the tunnel and some light came in and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that it's not there. Remember, when you cross over, you still have free will, guys. All right? Your free will just isn't here in the physical realm. It's still at home, too. When God created you, he gave you free will. Period. Your free will extends not only here, but at home. So that's where you get people that have or experience dark near-death experiences. Their energy is low. They're creating out of fear. They manifest fear in front of them. That's how they get a dark near-death experience. So if you don't see anything, that's because you're not creating anything. But I promise you that in time, something will be created and you'll see something. That's a good question, though. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, guys, any other questions before I go? I'm going to skedaddle. People are messaging me left and right here. So thanks for showing up, guys. I appreciate it. Anything. Varina, you have been so active. I bless you, honey. Thank you so much. So I'll leave it at that, guys. If any of you still want to donate to me, help me with this last few humps, that would be great. I would love it. Does God read questions if we write? Of course they do. Of course. Your Father sees you, he hears you, and he feels you. You're welcome, honey. You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. I love you guys. Of course he sees it. Remember who you are, Samuel. You're one with the Father. So of course he sees that question. Bring it to him, you know. They will not interfere with your free will, guys. If you do not call on the Holy Spirit, if you do not call on your Father, if you do not call on Jesus, they will sit there and watch you suffer, fall down, scrape your knees, bust your face, knock your teeth out. They will not interfere in your life until you call on them. You're welcome, Samuel. I love you, bud. Okay? So until you call on them and say, I need you, please help me. That's when you need to start listening to your feelings. Let them come. Cry. All right? Feel them. That is your Father and everybody in the non-physical talking to you. That is how we communicate on the other side. There is no blah, 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 because we don't have a mouth. We simply exist as a frequency. Right? That's it. Energy. And energy isn't really real either. It's simply a vibration, a frequency. So, and Nicholas Tesla, way back at the turn of the century, understood that very well. So, anyway, if you want to donate, please don't do it through the super chat. I found out YouTube takes half of it. So if somebody donated $50, YouTube is going to take 25 of it. I'll never see it. I go through Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. Quickest way to help me out. If you want. No, by no means am I asking for it. I'm just saying a lot of people reach out to me after these things, say, Jason, how can I help? It's the best way to do it. I appreciate it because it just helps me out. I love all of you guys. Thank you so much for showing up tonight. Farina, thank you, honey, for showing up. Thank you for all those questions and writings and all that good. You're beautiful. You're right there. I love you guys. Things are going to be changing soon. So I had all those confirmations and those spiritual experiences this week. I love you guys. Enjoy your weekend. All right. If there's something you want me to talk about, put it down in the comments and I will do a video on Sunday. The live session that I did with Rod this Monday is in not my videos, but another section of where I did videos with other people. So just look for it there. That was a great great topics that we had there too. So good night, guys. I love you. Thank you for showing up, and I will see you next week. Bye, guys.